that I hit as we move forward. And without further ado, again, this whole artist circle today is all about the liberation of beauty, which is the programming theme for TFA Pop-Up 2022. So that'll be many, many virtual events throughout the rest of the year, the Young Curator Showcase in June, and the TFA Pop-Up Gallery during Art Basel Miami Art Week in December. So we're really been kind of interrogating the idea of the liberation of beauty, what it means and what it looks like. And so I want to just throw this out to the group to kind of kick things off. Everyone here, please let us know, what does the liberation of beauty mean to you? Feel free to use the chat, or you can raise your hand or just unmute yourself and let us know what you're thinking or how you respond to that when you first hear it. Anyone have any thoughts? I'm seeing in the chat from Deja, finding confidence to be your most authentic self. I love that, Deja. I totally agree. I think for me, one comment that or one idea that surfaced for me a lot was like tensions between how you identify yourself and then how you express yourself. And I think that's like a really interesting thing to think about, is like how we think of how we view ourselves personally and then how we choose to like outwardly present to the world. That's something that's been on my mind. Let me see. Anyone have any other thoughts?
Well, I totally agree with you, Maggie, on that one. Being the owner, the CEO and owner of Howa Cosmetics, I work with women on a daily basis, you know, and just being, for them to be liberated, period. To me, beauty starts, everyone is beautiful first. And I know you guys are like, yeah, right. You guys at the cosmetic counters, you're judging, you know, but to me, every woman has beauty. And again, it starts from the inside out for me. You know, and everyone has something that you could play up, to play with, especially during this day. Everyone is into it, you know, when it comes to being creative, the lashes, the lips, the cheekbones, the skin, like you can really kind of choose what works for you. But again, for me, beauty starts from the inside out. And once you have that radiating glow that kind of just tells the world to stop at the, you know, stop at your forefront, it kind of works for everybody, you know?
I love that so much. Thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, I believe very, very strongly as well. And just like the beauty coming from the inside. And I think there's so much to do with like when you kind of are able to grow in your self-confidence and like view yourself. I know yesterday we had a talk with our Young Curators program, and one of them was talking about just like personal growth and like challenging yourself and like identifying things about yourself that you want to show to the world. And I thought that was a really, really lovely comment and definitely connects here. I'm seeing in the chat as well, Donna Ray says, being comfortable in your skin every day, everywhere, especially in your creativity. I love that. Thank you. And then also, let's see, to liberate your beauty is to possess your understanding of it. That's a really interesting comment. Thank you. We had a conversation. Oh, absolutely. Go ahead. No, please go ahead.
When I think of the liberation of beauty, you know, I don't necessarily have any products that I sell or, you know, anything that I really do in that sense. You know, I started off as basically a hair influencer, you know, and me being a woman with a short haircut at that, you know, and I went all the way down to buzz cut, no hair. The liberation of beauty, the first thing I thought of was being able to express yourself how you see fit is beautiful, and doing so where you're breaking those stereotypes as well. Because me being a woman, having this short haircut, I've always stepped into places and found myself meeting people that have this stereotype of women with short hair. And so being able to, walk around with a short haircut, on top of that, having 360 waves, which is a male dominated hairstyle, and still making it feminine and showing other women, hey, you can do this too, and make it feminine, make it beautiful. That's something that I found has been like the biggest lesson for me in liberating myself with beauty, because I've had long hair, I've had braids, I've tried all these different hairstyles, but I can definitely say that I never felt as beautiful until I cut my hair off. And I think that kind of forced me to love what I see. I didn't have a bang to cover anything, or I couldn't do anything besides work with my face. And I think that was something that forced me as well to, of course, gain that confidence in myself, but also just walking into rooms and being one of the only women with a short haircut and 360 waves that are better than the guys is like confidence level on 1,000, So that's definitely something that I thought of when I seen, the liberation of beauty with this.
Yes, thank you so much. I really appreciate that comment. And definitely, we're so excited to have you here, because I think like your platform and what you talk about definitely fits in so beautifully with our theme here. I'm also Amanda, I'm gonna pick on you because I know you do makeup as well. Amanda is one of the first cohort of our Young Curators program from last year. She's an amazing makeup artist as well. So Amanda, I just wanted to pick your brain on what liberation of beauty means to you, or what comes to mind when you hear that.
Yeah, so liberation of beauty is actually very personal for me, because it is trying to make your self-concept completely your own, and what makes you love you for you. And that comes, like, that is the total encompassment of like your beauty journey, of your personal, what you identify with, what you want to promote. Like it's all encompassing, it's all of that. So for me personally, growing up, a kid that had to go into surgery a lot, and being especially a young girl, where from a young age, your image is picked apart. Like from the moment you gain consciousness of what your image is, like what it even is. So yeah, that's, to me, my gateway into my liberation with my beauty, is figuring out that I actually do have control over my narrative, over what my image is and how I want to present myself to the world. I have control of that. And that, I think, is the most liberating thing about diving in to a relationship with beauty and making it all about you. Because sometimes some things are about just you, and that's okay. That's not, I mean, it's vain, but in a constructive way, not in a deconstructive way. So yeah, I think everybody's version of that is a little different. That's just mine. But I also think that it's really good for your mental health, especially for kids, to start understanding that they can manipulate image, disguise, dress up. That's all stuff that makes kids boost their self-confidence, their imagination. Anything that triggers like sensory it's all well and good, and it's all for the benefit of everybody, that everyone understands themselves in that way. So yeah, and that's how I got started, and where I am now is being a makeup artist here in Florida, in Miami, which was pretty recent that I joined MAC, because I was just a general esthetician before, but now I'm kind of diving head deep into editorial makeup, and yeah, getting my clientele up, hopefully. It's great to meet all of you, by the way. Happy Sunday. I'm so glad to be joining everybody.
Yes.
See everybody's beautiful faces.
Same
Thank you
here.
so much, Amanda.
Of course.
Meet you.
Yeah, it's really great to have you here as always. I was like, ooh, I want to hear what Amanda has to say about this. So awesome. I'm just gonna let me see in the chat here. Donna Ray has some awesome comments. Never take your mood of the day for granted. It's a part of your liberation. And beauty means much to everyone, especially persons who are differently abled. Some disabilities involve disfigurement. If your vision is challenged, you develop broad thoughts of you. Very great. Thank you for your comments, Donna Ray. Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for sharing. And I'm sure, I encourage everyone to keep thinking on this topic. Let us know if you have any further thoughts on anything at any point. You can use the chat or even just send us a message at any point if you're like, oh, I was thinking about this or I saw this, and that totally fits the theme, because as we build out the programming, we definitely want to hear from everyone. All right, so thank you everyone again. Without taking any more time, I'm going to throw things over to Deja to introduce our first featured speaker for today.
Thanks, Maggie. Thanks everybody again for coming. For those that are new, I am Deja. I am the Special Programs Coordinator for the Fearless Artists. And right now I have the pleasure of introducing my sister, Ayanla. She goes by the Baldie Babe. She is an influencer on social media. She's also a radio personality on Radio 1 AM 1000 in the US Virgin Islands. She has a background in radio and TV broadcasting along with social media marketing. She's hosted and thrown several events and interviewed many people, one of which her favorite interview was the rapper Dream Doll. She is a social media influencer infamous for the 360 waves that she keeps in her hair, which she touched on earlier. She has a YouTube channel where she shows how she achieves her look, how she achieves and maintains her hairstyle, and shares her island life on the US Virgin Islands. She intends to inspire women to love themselves and be confident with their short hair, regardless of what society thinks about women with short to no hair. And I just want to briefly put this in. This is not in her bio, but she was being a little humble earlier. She did have her own hairline, okay, where she was selling hair oil, which she needs to bring back, but she is very accomplished in her own right. And I'm just super proud of her and happy that she is here with us. And I am passing the floor now to you, Baldie Babe.
Thank you. Oh my goodness. Don't have me cry. Thank you so much. So like she stated, my name is Ayanla. I also go by the Baldie Babe. My rise to becoming a social media influencer was super unexpected. Back in 2018, I decided to basically chop all of my hair off. I was married, and I know everybody's like, whoa, you look like you're 18. I got married at a super young age. I got married at 20, 21, and that relationship with that person was really, really toxic. And along with everything that was going on in it, he kind of started manipulating me into being less confident with myself. So how I used to dress and walk and talk and do everything that made me, he kind of put a halt to. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do something crazy and I'm gonna cut all of my hair off. So I decided to cut all of my hair off, and went ahead and decided, okay, what can I do with this hairstyle? My older brother, he has 360 waves. So I seen his hair type and I was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna get waves and I'm gonna make this like a really cool thing that I feel like all women should like try out once in their life. And when I told my brother I was getting waves, he's like, no, girls are not supposed to get waves. That's a boy hairstyle. That's not for girls. And I'm like, okay, I'm definitely gonna do it now. So I started brushing my hair, and I posted a picture on Instagram. Again, unexpected, knowing that there was a whole community of people out there that do nothing but brush their hair and get 360 waves, and there's different patterns. There's like a whole thing behind having just waves. And so in 2018, I posted my picture, it went viral. Next thing you know, people are flooding into my Instagram just asking me like, hey, how did you get your hair like that? What products do you use? What brushes do you use? How are you doing this? So that became the moment that I realized, okay, I can kind of do something with this. What made me really push the bald girl thing and, you know, the short hair thing was because before I got into radio, I wanted to be a TV news reporter. That was my thing. I wanted to do that since I graduated high school because my mom said, you talk too much, you need to do something that requires you to talk. So I'm like, I'm gonna be a TV news reporter. And so I finally landed an interview at my local station. I'm originally from Cincinnati, Ohio. So I landed an interview at my local TV news station. And right before the interview, the counselor that I was working with at my school at the time, he's like, hey, you know, you should do the interview. Yes, I'm excited for you, but I really think you should go and get a wig. At the time, my hair wasn't even, you know, faded like this. I had some curls at the top, but everything around here was, you know, just faded. And he's like, I really think, you know, you should go get a wig because that's not, your haircut isn't the look that they want for the local station. So that kind of made me like, why would I want to work for somebody who doesn't like how I look? You know, like the short hair was my thing. I had just cut my hair off, so I wasn't really trying to cover that up. I felt better than I have felt in a long time, and I didn't want to have to cover that up in order to, you know, get a job somewhere. So I'm like, you know what? Well, I'll go into something that I can talk all the time, and it doesn't matter how I look because all they're going to worry about is how I sound. So I decided to go into radio. I moved to the US Virgin Islands in February of 2020. My parents have been living here since 2015. And I moved here in 2020 and decided to just take off with wherever the wind could take me. And luckily I was able to land a position at Radio 1 AM 1000. So I'm finally on the air. I've been trying to get to this point in my life for a very long time. So I'm finally on the air, as well as, like Deja already stated, you know, every day I get up, I make content based around my hair. And not only am I advertising my hair, but now people are starting to like send me clothes and jewelry and, you know, get me into all that. I think because I'm on an island, they're like, oh, you're perfect for, you know, for this, you know, go put our swimsuit on and go to the beach and do your thing and send it to us. So I've been super grateful to get to this point. There was a point in time where getting into the social media influencer career, there was a point in time where I compared myself a lot. You know, you're surrounded by people that, you know, you get surrounded by people that all start to kind of have that look, you know, the butt, the boobs, the wigs are slayed, you know, everything is slayed all the time. And I always just compare myself like, okay, I don't look like that. I need to do that. I need to do this. And so when I first got into becoming a social media influencer, that did hinder my confidence a little bit, to the point where I really felt like, okay, I'm not gonna be able to do this. I don't compare, I can't compete. But I had to realize, on top of me doing what I was doing, there were other people that would always message me like, hey, I just want to let you know, you inspired me to cut my hair off. My daughter is 13 years old. She's seen you and she keeps asking me every day, this is something she wants to do. I'm letting her do it. Like, I've had so many messages from people just all over the world telling me like, hey, if it wasn't for you doing this every single day, I would not have done the big chop, or I wouldn't have the confidence to walk around with a bald head, or I wouldn't have known how to get my waves in the way that they are now. So, people telling me that they needed me made me like, okay, you know what? Get the comparisons out your head. You're beautiful in your own light, in your own skin, how you do your thing, whether you like gold, silver, makeup, no makeup, hair, purple, blue, green. I've had like all colors of the rainbow in my head. So, I've had to kind of knock all of that out and tell myself, you are a vibe within itself, and that's why you became an influencer. All of my followers that I gained was just genuinely for me being me and brushing my hair. So, to know that there's thousands of people out there that just are like, whoa, I love you for you. However you're doing it, keep doing it. That's been something that built my confidence, especially within beauty and being an influencer as well. Image matters in that sense. So.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing your whole story there. And I think that leads in perfectly to our first question we have for you about just the platform and the impact that you can have. So let me see here. So our question that we have is, you reach a lot of people as a radio personality and influencer on social media. What impact do you hope to have with your platform in the hair community?
First and foremost, healthy hair. I went to school for trichology. So for those of you that may or may not know, a trichologist is a hair loss expert. So actually, when you begin to experience hair loss issues, instead of going to a dermatologist, you're supposed to actually go to a trichologist, who are the experts in hair loss. So I went to school for that because with me dealing with my own hair, I wanted to know how to keep it as healthy as possible, as well as I had so many other people asking me about hair care and hair tips. I wanted to make sure that I was giving them the correct information and not something that I just did trial and error in my bathroom, So I went to school for trichology to not only help people that were dealing with hair loss, because hair loss impacts confidence, alopecia, the different, seb dermatitis, all those different things affects your confidence, but as well as even with the waves. When you first start out brushing your hair, it's not as swirly and connected and nice looking at first, And so a lot of people are always like, I want to get my waves like yours. And it's seeing them get their waves in and having them complete just the swirl or however the pattern goes for them getting confidence to take off the do-rag because they know that their waves are just amazing. That's also been something that I thought is amazing that I'm helping people do, just helping everybody build confidence through having healthy hair. Even, believe it or not, within the waver community, there is that same stereotype of this is good hair and this is bad hair. This is nappy, this is kinky, this is, and I've always tried to tell people, just even within any hair community, waves, people that are doing long hair, there's influencers that have long hair and they're teaching people how to take care of it. Any community you're in, I always tell people good hair is healthy hair. Bad hair is when it gets unhealthy. Don't believe that just because your hair isn't as smooth or silky or wavy as somebody else's that your hair is bad. I know a lot of people that wish they had coarser hair. And, people that have coarse hair think that their hair is bad. So I always try to tell people, if your hair is healthy, it's good. If it's not healthy, it's time to get help, whatever it is, the situation that's going on with your hair. So that's one of my major things that I'm hoping to impact just within the hair community, is people understanding hey, your hair is beautiful no matter what, whether it's purple, blue, pink, long, short, no hair on your head, whatever it is, however you decide to rock it. And I also want people to have that freedom to express themselves through their hairstyles as well. Some people have certain styles that they feel are best for them, and others have colors and designs. There's so much you can do with your hair to just show off who you are. So I always like to try crazy colors and crazy designs just to push the limit. And, it's funny, I dyed my hair and I walked into my job the other day and my boss was like, whoa, it's bright. And I'm like, yeah, she's like, that matches you. So I like just making impacts with my hair as well, just to kind of show that off and show that expression within myself too. So hopefully everybody, just through me doing what I do, they'll become inspired to just go out and take care of their hair, but also express themselves through their hair as well.
Thank you so much. You're inspiring me. I want to dye my hair one color now.
Yes, I always tell people, you got to do it. You got to try something at least once,
Yep. I did a temporary, I dyed it blue in December, but then it washed out very quickly and I might have to go permanent. We'll see.
Oh, yes. Well, I follow you, so I'll be sure to see it.
Thank you. Thank you. Awesome. We have our next question here, is how have you found liberation through your personal expression and knowledge of hair in the wave community?
So I found liberation a couple of different ways with this. First being that the wave community is male dominated. So when I first got into this, it's not to say that there weren't any females that were already doing what I was doing, but the difference between me and them was I found a way to market myself and make it a big thing, So I was one of the first female waivers in the community to reach the amount of followers that I did. Back when I first started, I got up to 53,000 people following me. And then I ended up experiencing a breakout, like a really bad acne breakout. And goodness, when you are a social media influencer and you have to get on social media with acne and cysts all over your face, it destroys your confidence. People are rude, people are mean, you know, so many people were saying so many things about me. So it kind of broke me down and it made me disappear. So I disappeared from being an influencer for a while, and then I got my account back, and that's the one that everybody sees now. But just becoming, you know, somebody that with this amount of followers in a male dominated community, it was hard, you know, but I think the thing that pushed me was I'm a woman. I have waves that are pretty much better than 90% of the people that are, you know, in this community, which is why I was gaining followers so fast. You know, so having that power to say, you know, I'm female, my waves are better than all the guys that have been brushing for like 7 years. They hated it so much. But being a woman and also being, you know, having my makeup on, my lashes, my hoops, you know, the gold, the jewelry, and making it like some sexy, beautiful thing, that was enough for me to be like, okay, I'm gonna keep doing this, because after I started doing it for so long, I found other women started to become inspired by that, and I started seeing other women kind of following that path that I was doing. So it made me feel good to see like, whoa, like, not only am I setting a way for not only myself and others, but I'm also inspiring other women to come into this community and be sexy and feminine and beautiful, you know, because a lot of the guys, believe it or not, they are like, men can hate on women too, you know, like, so just a lot of the guys made it hard for me to progress in this, but I just kept being myself, you know, telling myself, hey, this is just something that I'm doing, because I didn't do it to compete with anybody. I did it because I liked the hairstyle. That was it. So, you know, being able to just simply do something as brush my hair and become such a huge inspiration all over the world. People from literally all over have met me or seen me or are inspired by me just from this simple hairstyle. So just having that empowerment and knowing that I'm making such a huge difference with something that I thought wasn't that big of a deal as far as my 360 waves, it means a lot to me. It means a lot. You know, people ask me, what do I do? And I tell them I'm a social media influencer. And they're like, oh, well, what do you do on there? And I'm like, oh, it's because of my hair. And I used to kind of play it down so much, like, oh, it's just, I just brush my hair a lot and it, you know, brings followers. But now I'm like, oh, I'm a female waver. I'm an influencer. I do this. I do this. People have wanted me to host here. You know, I've met brands that my grandfather used on his hair. Luster S Curl, I've worked with them. I've met them. I've worked with them closely. ORS Hair Care has worked with me. Kiss has worked with me. So, you know, you would think it's just, oh, she's just on there brushing all day. But to get the connections that I've had and get the opportunities that I've had through it, as well as help other people and women, especially that have short to no hair, gain that confidence. It's just, it all goes into making me feel that liberation in regards to the beauty industry and the hair industry and the waiver community. So it's been a blessing, that's for sure.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. We have one more question here about how American society has defined beauty standards for centuries. And so wondering, how have you taken your power back, and what advice would you give to others that are seeking to free themselves from that kind of structured way of thinking, or being so reliant on these beauty standards that they may not want to pursue?
Yeah, so I definitely can say that I've taken my power back. I've taken it back 100%. This is the best that I've felt in a very, very long time about myself and about my beauty standard and just my confidence, my self-esteem. Everything has grown. I've gotten real big into meditating, you know, spirituality, keeping myself together, drinking my water and minding my business. So I've been like really, I definitely can say that I've taken the power back. And the advice that I would definitely give to others in order to free yourself from the structured way of thinking is honestly, just do it. Like, I just recently got a neck tattoo, and I contemplated on this neck tattoo for so long because I knew that neck tattoos are like one of the things that when you walk into that professional setting, it's like one of those things that are frowned upon, you know? So I'm like, okay, not only am I gonna walk in there with short colored hair, but I'm also going to have the nose piercing, the neck tattoo. Like, I'm automatically going to get judged as soon as they see me. But it's funny because as much as I thought I was going to get judged, I haven't gotten judged at all. So I feel like it's also one of those things where if you're looking to do something to your hair or try something new with your makeup or whatever it is that you're doing to make yourself feel good, I say just do it and get out of your head. Now, one thing I can say is I did just recently have to dye my hair black, unfortunately, because the job that I just got, they're like, hey, we love your red hair, but unfortunately it didn't match this image. So it's kind of another situation like I had in the past. But this time I was like, okay, it's cool as long as you guys are not going to say anything about me having short hair or whatever the case, or take my nose ring out or something crazy, you know. I can work with the hair color thing for now. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna let them have that one. But you know, other than that, I tell people all the time, like, just try it. I have a friend here that I met just living here on the Virgin Islands that she was never into dyeing her hair any colors or anything. And I told her one day, I was like, hey, I think you should just bleach it. And she's like, no. And I'm like, I'll do it for you. Just let me see what it looks like on you. And she's like, I mean, I always wanted to try a color. I don't know. So we just went one day, I bleached it. She seen her hair bleached and she was just like, I love it. Like, and I'm just like, okay, great. So now her hair is purple. And just a couple weeks ago, it was green. So now she's just like going into this cycle of like coloring her hair all these different colors. But it's what's making her feel good. And I can tell that it brought that confidence and that beauty out of her that I felt like she was kind of holding inside. So I always tell people, just whatever it is that you think is beautiful, I say, go for it. Don't be afraid to try new things, because I'm telling you, trends, they catch on. They might not catch on right there at first, but eventually people will catch on. Somebody will see it. And I'm telling you, you can be a trendsetter with anything that you do. Just do what you feel is beautiful. That's all I have.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate all of that advice. I'm going to jump to introduce our next featured speaker, but thank you so much. And we'll definitely be back with more questions and comments at the end of the session today. So thank you so much for everything you were sharing there. Give me 1 second. I opened the wrong tab. There we go. Okay. Awesome. I'm so delighted to introduce our next featured speaker, Hawa. So just a little bit about Howa Cosmetics. Howa Cosmetics was created for its namesake, a working makeup artist and model. With over a decade of experience as a makeup artist, Hawa saw women's confusion and frustration at gimmicky products and confusing beauty regimes firsthand. Hawa then realized that owning her own makeup boutique was not so far-fetched, and she opened Howa Cosmetics in 2009 in Brooklyn. Her Pretty Pink boutique would go on and sell makeup and skincare products, and she also opened a makeup academy, which was a 2-week course that provided certificates of completion to students at the end of the training. So we are very, very, very excited to have Hawa join us today. I'm going to give you a couple minutes, Hawa, if you just want to talk about kind of the inspiration behind creating your own beauty products, what that experience was like, and just the whole story behind Howa Cosmetics.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you, Maggie. And thank you, everyone in this room. I'm so excited to be here. So what got me really inspired to start my own cosmetic line was I worked for major cosmetic lines. When I say over a decade experience, over 20 years of experience, let's put it down, okay? Over 20 years of expert experience working from Barney's, Bergdorf, Bloomingdale, Saks, Neiman Marcus, you name it, all the high-end stores, dealing with every woman of color. So I mean, everyone and different types of skin. So you have clear skin, smooth skin, skin with rosacea, skin with cystic acne, dealing with every single woman. I realized, everybody has something, you know, and the range of skincare of women are not really hard to make a line for, you know, when you are dealing with so many women. So I said to myself, okay, what can I do that's going to set me out different from the rest as far as a line of cosmetics was concerned? And working for these cosmetic brands and being the top producer, because I was the top producer for every line I worked for. So that means that I knew exactly what women were looking for. So when they stepped in, I knew when she said, "Oh, I'm ready for a red lip," she wasn't ready. She needed that cute pink nude, you know? It's certain, it's a vibe, you know, when you get to know a woman, when you get to look at her and just know who she is right off the bat from the time she steps in the door, and you understand her and not try to change who she is, because you have a lot of artists that will get you in their chair and they start to recreate who you are. And that's not really what women are looking for. Women are looking to still be themselves, but you know, just stepping up a little bit more as far as what they think they can do themselves, you know? And again, they want to take this makeup home and they want to be able to recreate this look themselves. I mean, that's to me, that's the biggest gain, you know, that you get to take whatever you sat down with your makeup artist with, you take it home and you recreate it and you use it to the bottom of the tube and you come back wanting more. So I decided, let me create a line that was made for all women. I did just that. I also came up with a 2-week academy, which to me was the big deal. I mean, the cosmetic line was a big deal too, because working for all these line of cosmetics, not that I never dreamed that I would have my own cosmetic line, but I didn't know that it could happen. You know, I didn't know that it could happen, and it did. Right in Brooklyn, Fort Greene, Brooklyn, I opened up my first boutique in 2009. And I had everything in there. I had skincare, concealer, foundation, lipstick, glosses, you name it. I sold an entire line. We had loads of events. And just had a good time doing makeup. So I said to myself, me and my business partner at the time had said, you know what, it would be a great thing if we could educate these women, because there's a lot under my belt. There's a lot of little hidden secrets under my belt that I could actually share with the world. And they're real simple, you know, it's really, really simple. It's not that hard. So maybe I can share this. So I came up with a 2-week academy, which was 5 days out the week, 3 hours out the day. And women came in and we discussed all the essentials of makeup, and not even just the essentials of makeup, the application of makeup, skincare, and really getting to know the woman. Because at the end of the day, all this makeup, all this stuff all over your face doesn't mean anything until you start to feel who she is from the inside. So really getting to know your client and your customer and probing her for the right questions and answers, so that she can then again feel good in your chair, feel comfortable with you, touching her face and doing her makeup, and then taking it to the next level of closing out the sale. So with that said, with the Makeup Academy, I didn't only teach how to apply the makeup, I taught sales strategy, because you can work for all of these makeup lines and I've worked for them all. You can work for all of these makeup lines, but at the end of the day, if this doesn't get out the door, there's no bueno, you know? You need to get loads of these out the door in order to be successful. So with that said, I taught them how, you know, sales strategy and how to make it work, and how to not be a pushy sales artist, because there's a way to sell makeup, and to sell it is I like to personally sell it by putting it on them and letting them see it and letting them feel it, because then it's not a sell. It's not a pushy sell. It's more like she talked her own self into this, you know? You put it on, you show her the mirror, and she's like, oh my God, I love it, my glowy skin, you know? And then you go right in and you kind of nail it, and you're like, so what would you like to take with you today, you know? And she builds her own sale and she walks out with everything. So then that shows you, as a makeup artist, you were successful in your application and you were successful in your communication to the actual customer. So I taught that as well. And then I gave certificates of completion, where since I have a lot of connection in the makeup world, working in Manhattan for all these major cosmetic brands, Long Island, you name it, I've done it. And Florida, Miami, Neiman Marcus over there in Bal Harbor. I worked for Tom Ford. I was the business manager there. So working for these cosmetic lines, I have a lot of connections with the actual cosmetic field. So what I did after we were all said and done was prep my people with certificates of artistry that graduated and set them up for jobs. So then I kind of linked in with, okay, so what is it that you want to do? Okay, I found out where they wanted to work, and it's such a blessing. When I tell you it's such a blessing to have worked with so many artists that right now today are extremely successful, you know? And they presented themselves at my academy. Like, it was just such a wonderful thing. It's so many hidden gems in Brooklyn, you guys. Like, when I tell you, there's so many hidden gems in Brooklyn. There's so many people there that are just walking superstars, you know? And a lot of them came to my academy. And they didn't even have any makeup artist experience to begin with. All they had was passion. And to me, passion is everything. So I kind of, I coach them, and the next thing you know, I get on the phone, they find the job that they're interested in. They send me as a reference, and next thing you know, I go in and kind of, I tell everyone, look, this person is great at this. This is what they'll be good at. And next thing you know, they're in the field and they're working. So, yeah, so that's pretty much, what I've done in makeup. And then I do modeling as well. So the accomplishment with modeling was a really big deal for me because I'm 5'4". I like to say I'm 5'6", okay? But I'm 5'4", and I started modeling when I was probably like 25, about 25, and my first modeling gig was with Beyonce. I modeled for her for House of Darion, and I traveled to Vegas for about 2 years. And then after that, next thing you know, Pepsi, then I went from NBC, now NBC, ABC, Fox News, the Today Show, Good Day New York, all of the shows, thank God. This is what I do now. And this is what I'm doing now. And I enjoy it all, because as you guys can see, that makeup and fashion goes hand in hand, and education of beauty is another thing. All you have to do is speak about it, and it all works together, so I don't really feel like I'm taking on too much. And thank you, ladies, for having me speak.
Of course. Thank you so much for joining us. I love everything you were saying, and thank you for telling the story there. What you were saying about how, when you're doing someone's makeup, you're not recreating who they are. It's like showing them different ways to express themselves. Or I think a lot about, when I will try to like switch up my makeup look, not as a way of like changing myself, but as like discovering different things that I want to highlight, or different things that I want to kind of express to the world. So really love that. Thank you. We have another question here. So, as you spoke about, you have a lot of experience in the entertainment and beauty industries as an actor, model, and makeup artist. So just curious, like, what are some things that you learned in the process, like about these industries that people may not know?
People may not know that in these industries, they're just really looking for genuine good people. You know what I'm saying? Sincere people with good work ethic, which is tremendously important. Don't say you're going to be there at 5 o'clock and you're there at 8 o'clock. They're looking for just good people that are willing to put in the work at the end of the day. So as long as you're willing to put in the work, people will line up. And as long as you're passionate about what you want, that's going to show. So the joy will come through and you'll look like you want to be there versus like somebody just woke you up out of your sleep, you know?
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's a really great point. I know for myself, in doing like stage acting and stuff, I've had so many teachers tell me like it's better to have a nice actor than like a super talented one that's like just not gonna be as friendly or as dedicated or as like caring about the other actors on stage. And so I think that's definitely a really, really good point for anyone looking to go into these industries.
I've always mentioned to my artists when they walk in, or anyone who's passionate in a field, and of course, I'm talking about Howa Cosmetics for sure. People would walk in and I would always tell them, they bring a resume, and I would always tell them, first, being who I am, your resume is great. You can have 50 years of doing what it is that you say that you're doing. So that makes you a professional. But I need passion, because passion is what's going to attract people, you know? So I'll take passion over experience any day, because passion you can teach and it can become an expert and shine like the sun, you know? The 50 years of experience, you never know. Maybe you don't want to be there anymore. So you're like, please, I know what I'm doing here. You know, I'm the expert, but you don't understand. It's really not about you. It's not about you. It's about the people that you're bringing in. So if you can understand that, and being in a sales strategy, a car is passing by right now, playing some really good music, but being in sales is not about you, it's about the actual client. If you can understand that, then you will be so much better off. And just keep your skill within and show it versus thinking that you are it, you know? It helps.
Yeah, that's a really great point. Thank you. I have one more question here. So I think we see a lot of discussion, you know, like on social media or in the news and things like that about like the beauty industry and different things like different brands or different companies or, you know, different beauty lines are doing to be a little more inclusive, more accessible. So I wanted to get your perspective, like how do you feel like the beauty industry is progressing towards becoming more inclusive, accessible, also like teaching people like you've been talking about makeup and about beauty, and in what ways kind of do you see that happening?
Well, actually, you know, what's funny is that it has opened up in a major way due to social media. You know, like people, you have babies that are doing makeup, okay? I have a 3-year-old little niecey poo, and she's like, Auntie, I got my lipstick, and she knows her brushes. Like, it took me ages to know what brushes was used for what. She knows her blending brush for her eyeshadow, her lipstick, whatever, you know? So social media as a whole has really taken makeup, and anyone can do it now. You know, everyone can educate themselves on how to apply it. So with that said, social media is fantastic. And there was another question that you asked. What was the other question? I'm sorry.
Oh no, that's great. Yeah, just like about how just how the beauty industry is making progress towards becoming inclusive, accessible, in what ways. Yeah, I think you covered it. I was even thinking of just like, you know, with like YouTube or like, you know, the first like beauty tutorials and things like that, just becoming much more accessible to people.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, the YouTube, all these networks, all these things, really have helped everyone. I mean, YouTube especially, my God. I mean, they people who I used to tell the people that I worked with behind the counters, yo, you guys are tremendous stars. Like, you have no idea the impact you guys can make on this world. Like, you have children that are cooking in their kitchen, putting on lipstick, becoming artists artists, like huge artists and just known in this virtual field, you know, in a big way. Like, you guys have what it takes. Like, get in front of the camera, start doing some things if this is really what you want for yourself, because it's possible. It's possible. And you can grow just like that overnight, you know? Like, you have so many people that are overnight sensations, which is such a beautiful thing, because it really shows me that, you know, just as long as you're passionate, again, about what it is that you want and you're doing and you're consistent, you can make it happen.
That's awesome. And on this topic about social media, I do want to get back to a question we had in the chat. And Ianla, feel free to address this as well, for sure. But Amanda is asking, like, how does a beauty influencer avoid compromising their creative vision in order to fit into the mold that is the most commercially successful? Maybe I'll throw it to you, Ianla, to see what you have to say about that.
So when I first became an influencer, I did feel like I had to fit into the status quo, you know, of how to sell myself, how I created my videos. I felt like everything had to be like this cookie cutter version, especially because now there's so many people, especially during the pandemic, that came out and they're like, hey, we can teach you how to become an influencer, and we can teach you how to make content. So everybody's stuff kind of starts to look the same in a sense, you know? But I think the biggest thing that I learned in becoming a beauty influencer, a hair influencer, is I feel like a lot of these brands, yes, they're choosing people obviously that they feel are going to help promote their brand or their company or whatever it is. But I also feel like a lot of them like the fact that I stick to my own road with this. I don't try to do everything like everybody else does. You know, sometimes I just go outside and I go to the beach and I'll just take a picture of my hair and post it, and that'll be the picture that takes off for me. I feel like a lot of people have to understand, you know, there's billions of people in this world, and I guarantee you, like, there is a group of people out there that relate to you and that are just like you, and that are going to like the content that you're posting, how you're posting it. They're going to like how you speak, because there's millions of influencers that are doing exactly what I do, you know, brushing their hair. But there's people out there that specifically like how I brush my hair or how I explain it, you know, even though I'm saying the same thing as the other influencers that have 360 waves are. It's just a matter of I'm putting my own twist into it, my own personality into it. I'm being myself. I'm trying not to do what everybody else does. And sometimes things might be similar as far as the process, but as long as you're really sticking to yourself and staying consistent, that's like the biggest thing with this. Sticking to yourself and staying consistent, the following will grow. You'll start to create your own path with it. And I feel like that's what sets you apart from what all the other, you know, especially with me, all the other 360 waiver influencers are doing. I was the first one to decide, like, hey, I'm gonna take, you know, when people go outside and they gather around and somebody's taking their do-rag off, I'm gonna take that simple concept, but I wanna make it an event. So now I have a wave check event that I do every single year in Cincinnati, Ohio, where basically I just have all these people, whether you have short hair, no hair, waves, you can have long hair, women come, men come. I've had kids show up where they just come to this event and it's based around waves, but I have vendors, I have food, I have music, and I make it like a, you know, just a time for everybody to get to know each other, maybe meet the people that you've seen online that, you know, you've been talking to for however long. So I kind of created something just to set me apart, but something that I felt like, hey, this is what we need in this community to bring people together as well. So as long as you're sticking to just being yourself, that's the biggest thing with anything on the internet. You know, even YouTube, again, I do the same thing as all the other YouTubers do with this, only they like how I do it. They like how I say it. They like how I present it, because I can't help but to be myself. And I feel like when I started trying to act like other people is when my content and my engagement and everything was just kind of like low. But when I just said, okay, you know what? I'm not going to care about the likes. I'm not going to care what everybody else is doing. I'm not going to care about how everybody else's looks. I'm just going to do what I like to do and post the content that I feel good about. It definitely made a difference for me as far as growing and setting myself apart within this community and within just being an influencer.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. I want to also just comment here some stuff in the chat from Donna Ray about how there needs to be like more audio description. So like we definitely have like videos and things like that that maybe reach more people than ever before. But I want to just acknowledge that comment for sure about how like there's still definitely a long way to go to make it accessible for everyone, make sure that everyone is getting that education and that knowledge they're looking for with makeup and beauty. So thank you, Donna, for putting that in the chat. Really appreciate it. Awesome. Let me check. Okay, we are like a couple minutes over time, so I want to thank everyone so much. We have one little last comment here. If anyone wants to throw out any words of wisdom, things that they think, you know, what even is beauty? We had a whole conversation, as I mentioned at the beginning of the session today, we had a big conversation with some of our students in the Young Curators program yesterday. We talked a lot about this idea, like what is beauty? Who, you know, you say beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Who is that beholder? Is it yourself? Is it another person? Just something I think that's interesting to think about. So if anyone has any thoughts, just as we wrap up in our next minute or two, feel free to shout those out or throw them in the chat.
Yeah, beauty starts from the inside out for me. Again, you know, and it starts with even the things that you eat, ingest, you know, drinking lots of water, getting enough rest, and less stress. Hello. Okay, let's start there. And, you know, during the pandemic, a lot of people were stressed out and are still stressed out, you know, so just less stress. Try not to think of everything so much. And that really helps a lot on how you kind of show who you are to the world.
Yes, I absolutely love that. Sandra in the chat here says beauty is a smile, a connection, eye contact, and passion, something one can feel coming from another. Sandra, I love that so much. I think that's a really great point, and I love everything you're referencing there. Thank you. In Deja, there's beauty in the mundane. I totally agree. There's something, you know, about having nothing going on, that peace, that just like I'm content in this moment, that I think is really beautiful. Some of our students yesterday were talking about beauty as truth, whether that's like something that is, you know, created, or if it's something, you know, natural that's kind of messy, you know, just something that exists the way it is and isn't trying to do anything else beyond exist in that moment. And I thought that was really, really a great point as well. Well, I want to thank everyone. Oh yeah, please go ahead. No.
Sorry, I know we're late. I also think, like, you know, being a kind-hearted person, just being an overall, try to be a good person, looking out for others. I feel like I pay attention to people's character more than I do what they look like on the outside when I first meet them. So, you know, just being a good person overall, the best way you can, whatever being good to you means, you know, just looking out, caring, loving, spreading that love, kindness, joy. That's definitely something that I would put into, you know, describing somebody as beautiful too.
Yes, absolutely. I love that very, very much. Thank you. Awesome. Well, just really quick as we wrap up, just a little reminder again of some of these announcements. Again, you can find the TFA merch online. We have recently updated the website for TFA as well. If you just search tfapopup.com, you'll see a bunch of new information, things there. We have an upcoming event I'll show in a second. Our next one is Art as Action, Women at the Intersection of Art and Activism, which I'm very excited about, especially as it is Women's History Month this month, which is very, very exciting. And again, if you're willing and able to, we would really appreciate any donations in support of the Young Curators Showcase coming up in June in New York, so we can get as many young and emerging artists to New York to show their work in a gallery and just gain exposure and gain the experience of connecting with their peers and with other people and mentors in the New York creative industry, I suppose. So thank you again all so much. That's our event coming up next week, March 13th. So a week from today, we'll talk all about art as action, women at the intersection of art and activism. We'll have some special guests to be announced very soon. So make sure to RSVP at the link in our bio on Instagram at TFA The Fearless Artist, or just searching Linktree / The Fearless Artist. That's where we always populate all of our links there. So again, I just want to say a huge, huge, huge thank you to Yanla and to Hawa for joining us today. We really appreciate having you sharing all of your expertise. And thank you just for sharing all of your stories, sharing all of your answers to these questions, and speaking with us all today.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. We'll be in touch with a recap email and sharing some of these insights we talked about this afternoon. And I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of your Sunday.
Yeah, bye.
Bye. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, everyone.
Awesome job, everyone. I loved it.
Yay. This was a lot of fun.